According to this thing. All right, yeah, all right. Check. All right, I'm gonna give this quick introduction, and then I'll let you introduce yourself. All right, this is Craig Harris. Craig Harris talking games. I'm here with my first guest on this podcast. This is Mr. Jay D33. Go ahead and give yourself a quick shout out, JD, to my minuscule fan base here.
Hey everybody, what's up? This is your boy Jay D33. Y'all probably see me on One Stop's podcast. You probably see me in the comment section sitting Xbox asses on fire, telling their fanboys to shut the fuck up, get some pussy, and play their games. But yeah, man, we about to go on and get in there and talk about this real gaming talk, man, because there's a lot of things right now that need to be hashed out and need to be said. Because I'm tired of all these fuck boys coming into the industry fucking shit up and talking stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, without further ado, it is time for us to get into it and keep it real. Craig Harris, you go ahead and take off, brother.
All right, this is Craig Harris again. Craig Harris talking games, and we just had a interesting article. Richard Ledbetter here through Digital Foundry interviewed Mark. I think it's Mark. Is it Kearney or is it Cerny?
Mark Cerny.
All right, Mark Cerny. He's like Mark Cerny. He was the guy that came out during the Sony presser that quiet talked everybody to death. I mean, the guy was boring. It was like a PC conference, but he didn't give a whole lot out. My point is, you remember that leak that came out and it said it was going to be the Neo at the time was going to be 4.2 TFLOPS.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and how everybody just took that and ran, and how it turns out, according to this article, if this is true, it's anywhere from 8.4 to 9. I guess my question is, do you think people just ran with the leak? Because Sony never confirmed anything with that leak.
Well, this is what I think people did. The gaming news today, in some cases, is kind of scared because I don't want to say we're going through a drought, but gaming news today is kind of a little scarce. So sites like Kotaku, IGN, GameSpot, motherfucking Games Radar sometimes got to put stuff out.
Yeah.
But largely, when I saw the article, I pretty much I wouldn't say connected the dots, but you think about it, both of these consoles are using AMD proprietary tech, right?
Correct. Yeah, according to the article.
So if these GPUs are based off of NVIDIA tech, not NVIDIA, but AMD tech, which used to be ATI back in the day for those that don't know how old I fucking am, but not that old. Basically, both of these systems are using Polaris and some aspects of Vega tech from what I saw. Digital Foundry, they aren't the type of people to sit there and make shit up for views because they've been testing stuff for years. Now, I think what's happening is that, you have we all talked about this, even Cycle admitted, you have a certain section of YouTube fanboys who are on Sony and on Xbox side. But I know it's like a lot of the Xbox guys now, when they heard their system was like 6 teraflops, one guy said, why would I want to buy an old pussy ass Pro? And, the Scorpio is going to be 6 teraflops. And I was like, okay, yeah. I said, 6 teraflops is good. 320 gigabytes is what Microsoft is saying, but that shit might be changing too. It's great to have. But the thing is, though, if all that power is not used for games, then you really don't have any bragging rights. Now, let me talk about the PlayStation Pro. When I looked at the PS4 Pro, they have a gig of DRAM. DRAM is actually slower than graphics double that at rate 5. Anybody who knows memory and plays video games on PC or played video games on PC like I have can attest to that. Now, what the DRAM is doing, the DRAM basically, it allows the system to multitask. So what it does, it frees up video memory off the GPU so the games can utilize it a whole lot more. That's why some of the games will be running, note that I say this, upscale 4K. It's not native 4K. I'm sorry, it's not native 4K. For all you fanboys out there who bought into this 4K shit, that the most we might get at a stable is probably 2K at the very most, which is a hell of a lot better than 1080p. Higher numbers are better, right? Higher numbers are better. Huh?
I have to explain to people that native 4K is 4096p. You can only you can only get that at the movie theater on those big DLP screens. So
Exactly.
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's like the thing the thing that makes me laugh at these fanboys, because if I've actually got into it with a couple of these fools. They like this one guy named Quasi DGN. Yes, I'm putting his name out there because he was kind of a fuck boy or cloud computing thing. And yes, I am shitting on motherfuckers who deserve to get shitted on. He's gonna say, well, the Xbox One with the cloud is far more powerful than the PS4. You know what I told him?
All right. What did you tell him?
I said, dude, let me tell you something real quick. The Xbox One is using DDR3. You know what DDR3 is? It's standard system memory. It's not for fucking video. Okay?
Yeah.
I said, why the hell do you think Microsoft put their little so-called fast-ass 32 megs of pussy-ass ES RAM in their system? I said, look, for all the shit you trying to talk, it's apparent when it comes to tech stuff, I got your ass beat by 300 miles. I say, man, look, here's what I want you to do. Get out the comment section trying to jostle with me because you're getting your ass whooped, and go to a fucking Digital Foundry video and look at comparisons between RAM on PCs and on these consoles. Then come back and we can have an intelligent conversation. You know what I'm saying? But he kept talking about, oh, you mad about the power of the cloud. I said, dude, you know what? Can you hear me okay?
And now you dropped out there.
Can you hear me okay now?
I get now. Yeah, you good now. You good now.
So I told him, I said, look, man, the power to me means nothing if your system can't do it. Can you hear me at all? Because I'm getting static on your end.
Yeah, you're fine over here. Is that better?
Yeah, I'm good. But anyways, as I was saying, I told him, I said, look, man, the power of the cloud means dick if your system can't do some of the work. And I said also, too, what you fail to realize is that the power of the cloud, the Xbox Azure cloud, is actually able to be used by Sony because Phil Spencer himself said it. And also, all the cloud acts as something that does all the work of your Xbox One piggies off of. That's it. The Xbox One ain't doing that fucking streaming box.
Okay, so what is Mark Cerny, I'm sorry, when he's saying that and can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Okay. When he is claiming that they pretty much took the old, I can't say the old, the one that's in the PS4 now, and it is pretty much doubled the power. Is that how they're getting to their? Is that how they're able to achieve most of what they're doing, or does it have more to do with the actual? It says something here. They did something to the GPU. But you were just talking about that DDR3.
Mm-hmm.
So they got some GDDR5. Now the G is for the graphics, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it looks like, so are they able to swap if you're watching like Netflix or Hulu and you can say the hell with it, and instead of watching whatever Luke Cage, I'm gonna go ahead and play Horizon Zero Dawn. So they're able to like switch that off and let.
Yeah, they are.
All right, so they can switch that off, and then they're letting some of that DDR3 RAM come in on the GDDR5, or is it two totally separate totally separate working systems?
I think what they're doing is, like I said, this is DRAM. This isn't DDR3. This is dynamic RAM I'm talking about. Embedded memory. So it's got a gig of that. What the job of the embedded memory is to do is basically to deal with the background stuff like you have on your computer, multitasking better and things like that. So what it does, in theory, and what it's supposed to do when you have the type of RAM in there, it's supposed to free up space for the principal stuff, like your games to run on to actually utilize the GPU that's in there. Because basically what we're having is we have basically two chips, two GPUs inside the PS4. One actually kicks on when you're running stuff in HDR and upscaling to 4K. The other one kicks on when you're playing something just regular. But at the same time, it's good because we have a rumored 8.5 to 9 teraflops to play with. Key word is rumored now. But I think, and I told One Stop this because he thought it was bullshit at one point. That's my boy. And I told him, I said, bro, look. I said, look, bro, man, these systems here are not new generation consoles. They are basically mid-generation upgrades because of the fact that we were promised 1080p, 60 frames per second. You don't believe me? Go back to the start of 2013. Because as we all know, if you look at Call of Duty Ghosts on both the PS4 and the Xbox One, the PS4 could pull off 1080, damn near 60 frames per second.
Correct.
The Xbox One had to do 900p 60 frames per second because, like I said again, the type of RAM that you're using, how those textures are being run through the system, and also, too, the type of hardware that is running on. Because if you look at the Xbox One was more so designed as an entertainment system, not a game console. It's a console that can play games, but Microsoft's main emphasis was talking about TV, streaming, video, Netflix, the whole 9 yards, and maybe using the Kinect. Now, a lot of the Xbox fanboys don't want to admit that shit, but they know it's true. Because I had one guy, I forgot his name, trying to call me on some stuff. I said, dude, you always coming up on his channel talking all type of shit. I'm like, you talk about how great Halo 5 was, but 343 came and fucked up the story and said, oh, well, you know, the Forerunners brought us back to the Stone Age. I would never, ever let that bullshit go. I'm sorry. As an up-and-coming writer myself and as an artist, there are just some things you don't do to a story. You don't fuck up a candidate to put in your own fucked up narrative. But anyway, let me get back to this subject at hand. So this guy was trying to tell me, oh, you were Sony pony. I said, first of all, if I was a Sony pony, how come I have a gaming PC in the house that I got to rebuild? If I'm a Sony pony, why the fuck do I have a 360 Slim? I said, no, what I am, unlike your ass, is an actual fucking gamer. I play on more than one platform. And I said, why do I have my Tegra Note 7 tablet and kick the shit out your damn Xbox One at the time of the day? Why am I playing with that shit? Tell me why I'm playing with that. I said,
if you didn't do an unboxing on video, they're not going to believe you. They're going to be asking for proof that you got that shit.
You know what? All I got to do, if I decide to make a YouTube video for my time, I'm going to say, y'all see this right here? I plug it up. Y'all see this? Y'all see this Xbox 360 Slim? Guess what? This was a console that I had for the past 4 years. Guess what it did? I'm like, You see that red dot? It's not the red ring. It's the red dot of death, baby. So guess what? This fucker is a paperweight. I said, do y'all see this old dusty ass gaming desktop that my roommate just gave back to me after she killed it? Oh, I'm about to rebuild this bitch. Do you see this dead ass Tegra Note 7 tablet? That was actually kick ass when the charging port worked. I'm like, so for all you doubters out there doing all this trash talk about me not playing games and not seeing what's on my and not saying what's really real, y'all could jump off a damn bridge and have fun with your upscale 900p bullshit. And the reason, and Craig Harris, this is the reason why I make the arguments that I do online. Because back in 2014, Crap Gamer was synonymous with saying bullshit. Now I know you probably cool with next gen and all them. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna call it for what it is. I can't stand when somebody say bullshit and pass it off as truth. I can't stand when somebody say some bullshit and try to say, well, it's just rumor. Motherfucker, either you know or you don't know. It's called actual news versus opinions and propaganda. And I really think that's what's happened to the YouTube, society, YouTube environment, even when the PS4 and Xbox Scorpio came out. Because all these Scorpio fans are like, yeah, man, terrified. And I'm like, okay, what you gonna do? You gonna run games? You looking straight movies all day.
Yeah.
So
I see your.
Yeah.
Now it says here, I guess it says in pro mode, going back to the PlayStation here, it says in pro mode, I'm just reading from the article, it says the full GPU is active. So I guess that's where they've done kind of that mirror. It says here, it looks like a butterfly. They've got, like we said, the two GPUs kind of right next to each other. And it says it increases 2.24 times. And it says it's pretty much cluster with that Jaguar CPU. But you brought up the Vega. Is that something that's brand new? Is that a brand new chip, or
Vega is basically a brand new. It's a brand new AMD type chip. I think it has something to do with the GPU, but I know the Vega Tech is coming out because the Polaris is already inside the PS4 Pro. And for what I did, from the little bit of looking at the Polaris I did, basically this thing can actually punch above its weight. Because I went to the computer store that a friend of mine owns here in North Carolina, Greensboro, and they had the AMD R480, and he said, "Dude, this card's kick ass." I'm like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah, this thing can punch above its weight." So I'm like, "No shit." I'm like, "No shit." See, he's like, "Yeah, man, this thing is a hell of a good card." And guess how much RAM it has?
Well, yeah, how much?
It has 8 gigabytes of GDDR5, the same type of RAM the PS4 got.
Oh, damn.
So, basically, if you look at both GPUs inside the Xbox One and the PS4,
yeah,
the PS4 has a mid to high range GPU. The Xbox One has a low to mid range GPU. The thing is, if you look at what they did with Halo 5, why do you think they were able to get that game to look the way it did? Because they had to scale things up. But one thing I noticed about Xbox, it has some horrible texture pop in, man. And I saw a Digital Foundry video on Halo 5. It had texture pop in. So I always tell people, I say, look, before y'all go running your mouth and talking shit, y'all need to do some research about what you're looking into. So when you come across somebody like me, you don't look like a fucking idiot, Now, I'm not saying I'm the king of shit. I know everything because I don't. But what I do know, I damn know. Because, matter of fact, I remember I was on the other name, Jesse Dixon, man, back last year. Remember some of the stuff I was saying, you was agreeing with me because I knew what I was talking about. Because,
you were keeping it. You were just keeping it like one stop there. You were just keeping it raw and uncut and unbiased. You're like, here's what it can do. Here's what it can't do. So if the Pro is able to turn, I just read what you were just saying, how they can quote unquote turn that stuff off. I think what the Xbox community did not understand about the Xbox One is that, like you were just saying previously about the games, the Xbox One being more for entertainment, Netflix, watching TV. It didn't have the ability to turn that off because according to this thing, Marconi said they can put Netflix in slow, and then the games can it says right here, it says on PS4 Pro, it says when you stop using Netflix, this is directly from the article from him, it says we move it to slow, conventional gigabyte of DRAM, like what you were just talking about. Using that strategy frees up 1 gigabyte of the GDDR5. So you're now using 5.5. Well, they can use 5.5 gigabytes instead of the other one, and it also allows a possible 4K interface. Now, can you explain, or do you know anything about the checkerboard rendering? Because my understanding is, how the PlayStation 4 and will output games at between 900 and 1080p. These games are going to output at a native setting of 1800p, but through the checkerboard rendering upscale, like you were saying earlier, to 4K. Now, so do you know anything about how this checkerboard rendering works? It is an upscale, and I think everybody knows it's, if you look at something in a native UHD or 4K picture versus an upscale, it won't look as good. It's still going to look great. It's still going to be a UHD picture. Anything, folks, anybody that listens to this podcast, anything over 1080p is UHD. You're now in an ultra high def setting. So, all right.
Let me explain some of that. Okay. From what I know about rendering, I'm going to use an example. Counter-Strike on PC, right? Okay. You had two modes. Software basically gives you ugly ass, fucked up pixels, but they're stretched. But when you kick in the hardware, everything's nice and crisp because the actual hardware can process it. Now, the 2x2 checkerboard is probably proprietary Sony rendering tech. Because let's remember, like you said to this one, like you said to Cycle Gamer or some other person, when it comes to the rendering, when it comes to technology, Sony is water. And Microsoft has to catch on to that.
Right.
So Sony is probably using a different type of upscaling method to get what they want, 2x2 check, which is what it does. Stretches the pixels not too much, but just right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
you know, back to what I was saying previously, you know, a lot of these people that look at the PS4 Pro and they look at the Xbox One, because my homeboy's girlfriend, I had to set her ass straight. I said, she's like, well, you know, Mass Effect Pro, it was, I said, baby, that's
Well, now you're breaking up. You just started to break up.
shit. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I just heard you were talking about your homeboy's girlfriend, and you started to drop.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now. Got you now.
So, you know, my homeboy's girlfriend was basically saying, you know, Mass Effect Andromeda was in 4K. I said, no, it wasn't. I said it's in upscale 4K. I said, let's explain to y'all nerds, y'all so-called nerds, what upscale is. I said, you know what happens when you stretch a pixel out?
What happened?
It looks watery. It looks almost damn near translucent. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
Like, look at that game Rise on Xbox One. That had an ass of color saturation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the TV it was on. I was like, God damn, this game got an ass of color saturation. But when I saw Killzone Shadowfall, not so much. That's kind of how you can tell upscale between upscale and native. You know,
Okay.
1080p. Now, you can do the same thing with 4K, but you have to be kind of close to it. You know what I'm saying? Or you need a TV. You need to be able to have two TVs running by side to tell which one's what. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The way I feel about this whole thing is that 4K to me ain't nothing but a damn thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Motherfuckers till 4K, they lose their goddamn mind. Oh, man, 4K, 4K. Man, it ain't even real 4K. Shut your ass up. It's upscale bullshit that you bought into. You know, now I know whoever might be watching or listening to this podcast or who listens to it later, this isn't a he's simply saying we need to know what we're buying. Because, you know, like shit. Like me and Soccer Game got into it a while back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This far I realized he was actually kind of a cool guy. He was like, you know, how do you know? I said, dude, Killzone Shadowfall, Digital Foundry, go look at it. That game is not locked at 30 frames per second. The most it gets at the very most is around 55 frames per second. Remember the other thing who was in? Well, and I basically was explaining to him how GPU tech is supposed to work.
Yeah.
I said, look, here's what you fail to realize. There's no such thing as uncompromised 4K. That's a tagline to sell bullshit. I said, you can take fucking Doom 4 and put that bitch in goddamn Ultra. And if your GPU can't handle it, and you ain't got the right CPU to run the board, I said, because of the fact you're using bigger texture files to render on screen. So the whole native 4K uncompromised 4K 60, that's the tagline that Microsoft is using because they getting that ass whooped. You know, a lot of people don't realize sometimes you might be talking to a damn snake oil salesman in a suit. Because, like, you know, like I told this one guy, I said, okay, if Microsoft's so good, then why the fuck they ain't selling in Japan? I said, that's right, because he was like, well, this got something to do with iPods. I said, they ain't got shit to do with iPods. It's because Microsoft does not know how to relate to the Japanese market. Sony knows. I was like, Sony knows how to relate to damn near every market. I'm like, also too, if you hear Kaz Hirai, he speaks perfect good fucking English, and he can transition back into his native Japanese language now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you know, it's like, you know, huh?
I said, you're right about that. So
you know, I'm like, I'm trying to tell folks, before y'all go out and try to talk about how something is supposed to be, do some research first. Because, like, I know when the PS4 Pro came out, I was like, wow, damn, even goddamn One Stop got some shit with some 8.4 teraflops on this damn page. It just came on my phone. So, you know, you already know One Stop about to tear this bitch up like a dog on some red meat. You already know this is gonna happen.
yeah, Twitter. I don't know if you know, Twitter got hacked today, and my Twitter's been down for I guess all afternoon. But yeah, I sent him a thing that put out a APB on Cycle Gamer because, like I said, he was going ape on that.
So you said what, with Sean Fox?
Yeah, Yeah, so once that thread started, Cycle was in there commenting, and I tried to get this one dude, because I'm still new to the whole broadcasting thing. There was a guy in there calls himself the Southern Assault, and I was trying to send him an invite too, because he really broke it down, and I couldn't find him on Google Plus. So he's on Google Plus, but I couldn't figure out how to send him an invite, because your name comes right up for invites. Yours, One Stop, Cycle Gamers, but I could not get him. I don't know how to get him an invite. And with Twitter being down, that's about the only way I could
wait a minute,
get it to him. But no, what you're explaining, that at least for me in layman's terms, makes a whole lot of sense. So I think we both agree that 4.2 thing that leaked was, do you think that was straight garbage or dog shit, or it had some truth, or it was half truth? What do you think about that?
Here's what I think. Everything operates at a base. Every CPU operates at a base frequency, right?
Right.
You have multipliers. The way I looked at the 4.2 teraflops is basically the base minimum that system operates at. But by being AMD Polaris and derived to some AMD Vega Tech, and like I said, what I've seen, Polaris is able to operate above its weight. So it's very possible this system can kind of up clock itself to meet certain. It can basically up clock itself to meet certain requirements for games and stuff like that. But here's what I always say: just because your shit can up clock does not mean your game's gonna look good, because it depends on the architecture that your system is running with and the features that architecture can support. No one can get away from that. So you said Soccer Game was in the PlayStation News Now podcast going in.
Well, you know the thread that'll pop up, you can make comments on, and he was this he doesn't believe it. He was literally, he said that if they being Sony, they would have shared this at the jump. You know, and I commented, I said, no, you don't. I said, Sony never, because he was talking about the 4.2 teraflop leak. I mean, he was. And I said, and somebody else commented, I think it was that guy, Southern Assault, don't quote me, it may have been him or somebody else that said, Sony never confirmed that. And this is kind of like what I said during that podcast last week. I said, you remember when it leaked out about the movies that Brie Larson was going to play Miss Marvel for Marvel Studios in that movie, but they never came out. They being Disney and Marvel proper studios never came out and confirmed it. They never came out and said it until about 2 weeks ago. And it's like, okay, now you can report it and say it's official. And that's what but when we tried to tell people, and I tried to tell several people, look, until Sony says it's 4.2, it's all rumor. And you immediately got, I was told, well, you're damage controlling, you're just a Sony pony. I'm like, well, I'm waiting to see what it officially is. And even at that presser that they had, they never said what it was. They showed you what it's going to be able to do. They showed us what it might, they told us that it was going to have a UHD player in it. And they also said it's going to be $399. So that helped absorb the hit of no UHD player. So,
let me say this real quick, because a lot of people that come and talk smack. Oh, that's rumor. I said, well, you know what? I guess that whole Kinect being used as an integral device for the Xbox One was a big fucking rumor.
Right.
So it's like, whenever people start talking about rumors, I say, yes, it's a rumor. Now, he was like, well, how come they confirm 4.2? I said, because of the fact that they were probably still prototype. They were probably still, because this console don't release till November 8th, to November 10th. You know that, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks. Yeah.
So they got a couple weeks to tinker with this fucking thing to get it to do what they want. So, in all possibility, here's what I think the unannounced operating, flops might be at. I said thing and unannounced, meaning it's unofficial, people. So don't go saying, oh, Jay D33, nah, shut the fuck up. Hear what I'm saying. Here's what the unofficial number is going to be. probably at the very least 5.5 teraflops that you don't know about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He already said it's going to operate at 8.4 teraflops, right? I mean, one stop shit on his goddamn page. So if that happens to be true, and I don't think Digital Foundry lies about no shit like this because they're nonpartisan and all they do is tech, and all they do is technical specs and testing out tech and see how it works. It's a possibility. Microsoft might have shot themselves in the foot again. This is why I say that. Now I know a lot of the Xbox fanboys that might hear this podcast gonna come ass hurt. They're gonna come with the asshole bleeding. I gotta get the motherfucker some goddamn man, some man up. But here's the thing. You know, most of these systems are using custom style PC stuff. Remember, Soccer Gamer said they're using custom. Yeah, they are using custom, but it's largely based off the x86 architecture, which is what the PC currently still fucking. You know what I'm saying? So you know, Cycle's my boy. He cool and everything. But the thing about Cycle is that Cycle ain't gonna believe some shit until he's just here on paper till he see the actual specs. That's just him, you know. Right. But you know, Cycle will do damn devil's advocate on your ass real quick and say, well, you know, what about when they say like, God damn, how you figured that? But hey, you know, so basically, he was all over the place in Mal's comment section, kind of having a bit of disbelief is what he was having, you know.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Now it also says here, this is just coming from the article here. This is a Digital Foundry article. This is not nothing I'm pulling from the Eurogamer net to the. I think we got one viewer, so shout out to the one viewer. What's going on? So it says here that Uncharted is undergoing. This is from, I guess, Mark Kearney saying this. It says Uncharted 4 is undergoing retooling. They're taking another look at rendering strategies. But Days Gone, Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, which I think everybody believes is probably going to be dog shit. Rise of the Tomb Raider and Horizon Zero Dawn will all render up to 2160p with the checkerboarding that you were just talking about. But it says it will super sample down to 1080p. So let me ask you, if you say, all right, I'm gonna get the Pro, but I don't want to pull the trigger on a UHD TV that's $499 at 1080p. Do you think they're going to be able to do something with the frame rate, or do you think it'll be a more stable frame rate if you say at 1080p, or will you see kind of a fidelity boost at 1080p?
Here's what I think probably will happen. Whenever you include stuff like HDR, which is high dynamic range, which is what cameras have used for years, which is what Half-Life 2, an old PC game from 2005, came out used. The game's gonna look better because HDR allows you to see more stuff on screen, right?
Right.
You know, even if I don't, which I'm probably fucking not going to, because like I said, I'm pole pimping baller on a pussy ass budget from this dumbass job that I work at. If I do buy a TV, it's gonna be 1080p at the beginning. But if it does upscale to 2K, it's gonna render at 1080, but stuff will just probably look a little bit better if you can discern it. So I think what's happening is here with these mid-generation console booths is that they're looking at increasing resolution on these games, which they're kind of which I wouldn't say overshooting, which is good because more is always better for what you're trying to do. And what they're also doing is they're trying to give us stable frame rates. Now let me tell you my theory of what's going to happen. When the PS4 Pro comes out, people are going to try to trade in. They're probably trading their old systems, right?
Right.
Quite a few. So PlayStation now has a built-in cloud service where you can save your games, right? So bet your ass there's a possibility you can import those game saves to their hard drive in the PS4 Pro and still start from when you left off. Again, theory. I don't know how it works because I don't have PS Pro and I have fucking PlayStation yet. But when I get it, I'll let y'all know how the shit works. So, basically these two consoles are basically, I want to say, unofficial replacements for the PS4 and the Xbox One. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that they're stepping in and doing all these hardware upgrades and saying, well, this is what this does, and this is what's gonna happen. So, you can count on my boy. Count on our dog. One stop do a podcast about this shit tomorrow, and if he do, I'm gonna be up in this bitch laughing my ass off. because that's what I mean. People always try to come talk about what something's going to be. I say, you know, it may be this at one point, but they might change it later. Because like I said, look, man, you know what you're talking about, but you got to know they're going to change stuff. I say, yeah, I know. Now to get off topic, what did you think about the Nintendo Switch reveal?
From what I saw, I liked it. What I liked about it, and we at one stop, and we talked about this yesterday. Jay Barr chimed in for a little bit. Dad Hip, shout out to him and Jay Barr. They both jumped in. I liked it for the simple fact that they pretty much are saying, here's who we are, with Nintendo, and take it or leave it. And Nintendo always gives us good games. I mean, their games are never broken. I just don't know how durable the hardware is going to be because, they were taking stuff apart, putting it together. And I asked Bear, because, Bear Hugger's the big Nintendo guy. I just asked him if that joystick they showed, it looked like, like an Xbox One or a PlayStation joystick. I didn't know. I asked him, was that something that would come with it or would that be separate? And he made a good point. He said they'll probably bundle it. And again, it's just rumor, but he said that he thinks that they may bundle it and all together. But from what I saw, I would go ahead and get it. So, from what I saw.
Let me tell you how I feel about the Nintendo. That's how I feel about it. I think Nintendo is actually heading in a very good direction because they look at the mobile market, the fact that it's gaming everywhere, right? I mean, where I'm at down here in North Carolina, do y'all have Time Warner up in Tennessee? Is it called Comcast?
I'm in Lexington, Kentucky, and it's Time Warner, but it's switched to it's switched to something else. So
right? Because where I'm at in North Carolina, we have a fuck ton of hotspots, dude. And this is like about an hour or 2.5 hours away from Charlotte. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got where I'm at. This college city I'm in, we got hotspots like a motherfucker. So anyway, I think with the Nintendo Switch, it has two functions, right? Gaming on the go and gaming. Now, gaming on the go is good because you can take your shit anywhere you want to go. And One Stop actually says, I think that's actually a really good idea. But at the same time, when it comes to gaming, that's why I'm a bit worried. Yes, Nintendo makes games that are not broken. They make games that are fully functional without all the issues. But here's what Nintendo needs to do. And Bear Hugger and me actually agreed on this. Nintendo needs third-party exclusives. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Did you see the games that they listed for the companies that are back?
No, I didn't. But this is what I think Nintendo needs to do. They need to make a sequel to Bayonetta 2. Why? Because Bayonetta 2 sold a fuck ton on the Wii U. It got motherfuckers to go play that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a system seller, yeah.
Because I said to myself, damn, if I had money, I'd buy a Wii U just to play that Bayonetta 2 because I'm a fan. My boy, Jack Moog Johnny.
Yeah, that dude's cool. It's funny. Entertaining.
Jack Moog said, nigga, I hate platinum games. I fucking hate them. I said, hey, man, I like platinum games. He said, man, you would like some bullshit like that. I said, I ain't bullshit. I'm like, nigga, you played Shantae? He like, yeah, this is a good fucking game. And but that's Jack Moo. I love Jack Moo because he don't give a shit, and he said what's in his mind. Yeah. So anyway, I think what Nintendo needs to do, and me and Nintendo needs to get third-party exclusivity, and this is why I say, what third-party exclusivity is, right?
Yeah.
For example, I'm laying back.
They had Bethesda games on there. They had a list of about 40 people. On there.
So I think happened is that, can you hear me?
Yeah, you were dropping in and out a little bit, but you came on back. Yeah.
Anyway, so I think this is my theory. This is what I think is. I think was that these third party exclusives are going to be tailored to run on their system. to optimize that system. Oh,
Right.
so I think Nintendo, they do have new leadership. If they were to go and jump in that direction, still make really good games like they're hard, they're hot ass, cool ass exclusive shit. I think Nintendo can make a break in busting the lead of both Sony and Xbox. They really can, because when people start to see something different and they start to see something that looks halfway good, they really put things in perspective.
Yeah, I think Nintendo. I think people have been waiting for a reason to go buy the Nintendo, and I think they just gave it to us. With this, they did say they may be able to hit 1080p and 60 on some of those games. I was like, God damn, if they can hit that, then they're going to sell a lot of consoles. But I do agree with the gaming on the go, because that market, that's what Nintendo is wanting to get into. I mean, that's over $1 billion market right there. So it's
look at Pokemon Go. That game got an ass of downloads. My homeboy, that motherfucker, played Pokemon Go, had me at the goddamn 4:30 in the morning. I want to kill his ass. We got that going around downtown Greensboro. He's like, hey man, I'm about to catch this squirrel. I said, you wouldn't catch that fat ass damn Bulbasaur, wouldn't you, huh? That fat fucking thing. I said, nigga, you got me up there 4 in the morning. I gotta go to work at damn 2 o'clock. About 3 o'clock this afternoon and shit. You and your girl, y'all like playing goddamn Pokemon Go. His other home, but them fools drove around. I'm like, what? Y'all drove around the courthouse looking for Pokemon? I said,
yeah, I told One Stop I hope he can maybe do something later this evening, because I got to work this weekend, so I wouldn't be able to do a podcast this weekend. But you know me, I always listen to him when I come back home. But they yeah, so yeah, do you think the damage control? Yeah, I'm just looking at some of this stuff. The damage control is already starting.
Let me tell you. Man, look,
I don't understand, because everybody should just be happy that the system's coming, so.
Let me cut in on the damage control part. Now, you mean everybody know who ain't no ponies and no bots and none of this shit.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers damage control because they don't play damn video games. They don't do none of that shit. All they do is sit up there and talk about specs. Oh, like crap, gave me fat ass Mr. I stole motherfucking gameplay videos. I remember that shit last year. Fucking fat ass goddamn miniature ass Jabba the Hood ass bastard. But anyways, I'm sorry, man. I cannot respect nobody who steal people gameplay videos. I can't do this shit. I mean,
I understand that. Yeah, I looked into that. I'm like, well, that's bad. I mean, at least give credit to say I got this video from somebody else. Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but go ahead, brother, go ahead.
But yeah, so yeah, man, the damage control has already started. Because if you know the Xbox fanboy community like I do, those are the first motherfuckers to come out and brag and talk shit. But then when they see their console ain't doing so hot, they shut the hell up because they know what it is. But then they come and try to say, oh well, because I'm gonna say this, man. You know this guy named The Mooch?
Yeah, I've seen him on YouTube. I've seen his videos. Yeah.
I don't watch none of the BGST bullshit. I don't.
Yeah.
Because for me, what it does, it gives me a brain aneurysm. My brain cells start to function. So motherfuckers going around GameStop stalking little boys, telling them to buy a Xbox instead of a PlayStation 4. Motherfucker, you got a Sony TV and a goddamn Toyota car. Shut your ass up.
Well, that's the thing. I heard that, but I'm like, well, surely somebody's making that up. Nobody is in a store trying to get somebody to buy something else. And when it turned out to be true, I fell out of my chair. I'm like, are you kidding me? Somebody is in the store trying to get somebody to buy something.
You have motherfuckers on this damn YouTube and Google Hangout shit. They're damn desperate just to get sales. But I told this one dude, I said, this one guy's like, man, you sure know a lot. I'm like, yeah, because I do research on shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, unlike your stupid ass, I'm not out there trying to damage control for a company that can give a fuck about me from day one.
Yeah.
Sony don't know us. Microsoft don't know us. Nintendo don't know us.
Yeah.
So why damage control? And I look at it, this damn cat falling on the damn floor of my room. Anyway, I look at it like this, man. The damage control has already started. The damage control started when the PS4 Pro came out. Because here's what I know about Sony. Sony has always had games, has always had a very big games catalog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, they have. It's been diverse too. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But when you look at Microsoft's game catalog, what do they have? Forza,
Yeah.
Halo, Gears, a few third parties here and there. They got Recoil, which didn't do so hot, which probably in a bad game, but didn't do so hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that I look at gaming. I look at the catalogs of what these games, these companies have, and what they offer. And part of the reason I'm going back to PlayStation is because PlayStation got shit that I grew up with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. True. Yeah.
I didn't grow up with Xbox like that. Now, my cousin had the OG Xbox, which was the best fucking one that they ever made because of all the technical issues it did not have. I like this raggedy ass piece of shit 360 slam in my fucking closet. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, man, damage control is always gonna be damage control because you're always gonna have that subset of YouTube fanboys that are gonna damage control no matter what they do. And I'm glad Microsoft is able to get some sales that the Xbox One S is doing good. But at the same time,
yeah, I ordered one. It'll be here Tuesday at some point. UPS verified everything today, so it should be on its way.
You must have bought shit from Tiger Direct the fucking Newegg.
Oh yeah, well I'm still gonna do my gaming PC. I ordered I got that Roswell 15-piece computer toolkit, and I've got the 450D as in dog Corsair clear case to go ahead and start the build, and everything should be here in the next week or two. So because I'm building a PC to play Star Citizen.
Man, look, let's talk about Star Citizen.
Yeah.
A lot of matter of fact, my boy RXL was talking shit about the game. Oh man, you fucking nerds on PC. I'm like, motherfucker, shut your goddamn ass up. I'm like, nigga, you just mad because you probably don't even play on damn PC. Man, all game results. Man, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares what you think. Nigga, you on YouTube like everybody else.
Yeah.
Oh, the Kickstarter nerds. I'm like, well, guess what, motherfucker? At least in Star Citizen, the one video I saw, where you're basically picking up those drop pods on that little bike that you're on. Guess what? You can see the rotation of the space station arms that you that you came from. This damn cat don't leave me alone. You can see the space station arms rotating on the planet.
Yeah. Well, no, I want it because those are the kind of games I used to play because I used to play like games like Falcon and jet simulators and stuff like that. I just got into the console thing. I want to say I'm a big Star Wars guy. So when Xbox back in the day had Knights of the Old Republic, I bought that game. I'm like, well, I want to play that game. It looks pretty cool, So, and I just ended up keeping it. Of course, you end up getting Halo and Splinter Cell. To me, those are great games. And when Xbox was first out, you had Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 and Splinter Cell, and those are exclusive games. Rainbow Six, all the Tom Clancy shit. That didn't go to PlayStation until last generation.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I'm a huge Splinter Cell fan. I've liked all the Splinter Cell games, even Double Agent, Double Agent was disappointing, but I was able to enjoy it. Hey,
do you remember this game on PC called Pariah?
No, I do not. No.
Basically, you're playing this guy who was a disgraced military doctor trying to get this girl to where she's at. Basically, this chick named Karina basically is a walking explosive. She's a walking IED. She just
good grief.
Thing. So it's like you're going through the game, you're fighting people and seeing what's going on, and then you realize it's like your character that you're playing as ends up dying. She kills herself by blowing herself up and the people that killed her. I said to myself, what? Why did I ask? But you made me mad as fuck about that game. You know how long? Can you hear me okay?
Nah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm going ahead. I'm listening.
You know how long it took me to beat that bitch?
Oh, how long?
Fucking an hour and a half. Boy,
You said an hour and a half?
yeah, boy, I was so goddamn mad about that game. I said, I know this ain't the end of the damn game. I was like, motherfucker. So I'm going back through trying to get all the fucking trying to get all the damn upgrades and shit. That ain't mean shit. So I got mad. You know, man, I'm finna fucking install this game. I took before GameStop came up with EB Games in Kernersville. I took that bitch back. Boy, y'all know how mad I am about this shit right now. How you feeling? I said, how come I beat this fucking game in an hour and a half? Damn, manager was like, damn. I said, yeah. I said, man, you know what? It ain't y'all fault. I bought into a game because they ain't give a fuck about Halo, and I hated Halo at the time.
Yeah.
Leave everything you damn see. That's how they got me there one time. That's why when motherfuckers be crying about Call of Duty being 4 hours. I say, yeah, we getting ripped out the ass. At least, you know that game I keep talking about.
Yeah.
Guess how long that game is without the side quest being done?
How long?
25 hours.
Jeez. See, that's why I like. That's why I like the Witcher game, and I like games like that. It actually took me a while to beat. You know.
Each Mass Effect game without the DLC was like damn about 40 something hours long. But when you do DLC shit, nigga, you get about damn 15, 35 hours extra. And I was like,
yeah, Mass Effect. If you didn't do the cutscenes, if you just kind of kept pressing through the cutscenes, you could beat it in like 21, right at 21 hours. That's 21, and then I think the second one was 25. But you're right with all the DLC. Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me to do when I switched from 360 to PlayStation, was saying bye-bye to that franchise. I was like, man, because that was my favorite franchise last generation. With all the DLC, I love the characters and stuff like that. But so I'm looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda, you know. So and that's what I'm gonna get my Pro. Is I'm hoping they do a bundle, and then bam, I'll be playing on that Pro.
Let's talk about Mass Effect now, because we touched on a real good topic here.
Uh-huh.
The way I feel about Mass Effect is that, you know, the whole thing with the Reapers, because me and my boy talked about it. The Reapers really didn't make no fucking sense. Now, this is why I say that in any form of story writing, you know, when you review enemies, you don't come out and write right here. That's who we fight, you know?
Right.
And I felt like, you know how the fucking stupid ass little AI called the Star Challenge in the Mass Effect 3 is like, I say the Reaper controlled by a powerful about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, now you're dropping out. You were dropping out.
Oh shit. What about now?
Oh yeah, that's better. You were talking about the Star Child there, Mass Effect 3.
I control the and I'm like, okay, but are you just a mechanism for something, for a much bigger plot? And I felt like game, but also too, you know, the ending we got.
Yeah, now you're dropping out again.
Fucking serious.
Yeah.
What about now?
Oh yeah, that was better. Yeah, I don't know where you moved, but yeah, that's better.
This damn house. So did 3
Did 3 do what?
the 3 endings ain't damn ended, but colors.
Well, yeah, each one represented an energy output from the Citadel. Yeah, I chose Destroy because Destroy was the most as far as the storytelling, Destroy was the most that was the most consistent thing. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, it was always you had to destroy the Reapers. Control only came up in the first act of the third story, and bringing everything together, synergy was never. I mean, that was never ever talked about. You know, that to me takes away the right of where that was going to help. It made everything the same, and it took away individuality, and that's what the Reapers were doing in the first place when they harvested. They were taking away your right to be an individual.
Well, can you hear me?
I can now. Yeah, right there. That's perfect.
Anyway, so this is what I damn because the old Metallica, because I was a cool ass guy, I chose. Now,
well, now you're dropping out again.
God damn! Damn, I walk around and cat follow. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Fuck you, how? So, yeah. So, I chose Synergy, right? And
yeah,
it was because it would have fell apart if he didn't have Edie. The Geth, the whole trying to get the Geth and the Quarians to work together when exactly that type of stuff. Really, what Mass Effect should have been it discriminately. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the Protheans this fucking, wouldn't it be tailored to take anything else?
Well, now you just dropped that again. I heard you say Prothean.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now, brother.
Like I said, after the Protheans built the Crucible, you would have thought they would have said, okay, the Crucible needs to have a target. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the Protheans never finished it. The first cycle to finish it was the cycle that you were in.
Yeah, I know. That shit was like that damn thing took countless cycles, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. It took 200-300 fucking that bitch complete.
Yeah, I agree with you. I understand what because you see Edie evolve right in front of you. That was cool to see how she evolved right in front of you. But I just thought overall, I've always thought if you were in the woods and you were getting attacked by a bear and you were in the woods with a dog, your dog would just start to defend you so that you could get away from the bear. And as much as Joker loved Edie, and he did, he was just going to have to get over it because this destroying them was for the greater good. But you're right. Ultimately, they were only harvesting species that were using the mass relays.
Yeah,
that's it. They everything else they were leaving alone. So
y'all get like the mission on Surkesh when you getting Eve. Well, actually, Bakar, fucking name, aka Eve from the Solarians, and Morden basically helps you get her. Yeah, I was pissed. Yeah, because I like. Can you hear me already?
I can now. I'm gonna say you just dropped out. I heard you say you was pissed.
I was more than Solus. Or did he die?
Yeah.
Because I always thought Morden Solus was basically one of the connecting chains of the whole universe. I mean, he knows about the yard. He doesn't see the fucking
yeah, well, again, based on Morton's age, they only lived like 35 human years, and he was already like 31. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it was hard to say bye. Again, it was hard for me to say bye to those characters. I hated when I traded in my 360. That was the game that was Mass Effect 3, and it was hard to get rid of that because all those saves were in that Xbox. And it's you're saying goodbye to a bunch of characters that I really enjoyed especially that DLC, the not the Citadel DLC, but yeah, I think it wasn't the Citadel DLC when you had that party and you got everybody together. Yeah, and yeah, that could have been a little bit better. I thought they would have changed their costumes a little bit, but but overall, I thought that was a good story and how they all got together in that picture and said Normandy. I wish you could have screenshot that. I mean, that's. I was like, damn. I wish I could take a picture of that. You know. So.
Let me tell you how. Let me tell you. Me and my. Hello.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Anyway, me and my homeboy in Michigan, we talk on the phone a lot about Mass Effect, like 2000. About basically, you know what the first game would have been?
What's that?
The first game, you would have learned all about Reapers and what they were trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Right. The second was the first game, you learned about what the Reapers were trying to do, and the Krogan got the genophage in the first game.
Yeah.
Okay, after the Krogan got cured in the first game, it transitions into the second game. Right?
Right.
You go to chunks. How Krogan started fighting you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So actually he appoints a to run away.
Yeah, but now you're breaking up.
Fuck, really?
Yeah.
What about now?
Oh yeah, you're good now.
So anyways, with not I think would have been great is that you basically after you supposedly died or whatever.
Yeah.
Now the Cerberus age I felt was not wait, it wasn't done. You know what I'm saying? I think really learned about the comings of Cerberus and what they were doing. And the second game, you just saw what the fast actually worked. And the third game, it should have been all out fucking war.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, they kind of streamlined it. You could kind of see what was happening, especially when you got towards the end game when you were on Thessia. The Reapers were attacking their home world, the Asari home world. Yeah, you could kind of see. Yeah, it was supposed to be like you're saying, but it's streamlined it for consoles. I mean, Casey Hudson. He took a lot of heat for that game. He no longer is with BioWare. He's at Microsoft now. So. Yeah, Casey Hudson left BioWare about 7 to 10 months after all that happened with Mass Effect.
No, the reason why fucking.
Well, now you're breaking up.
What about that?
Yeah, right there was good.
Anyway, you know the reason why got them boots.
Yeah, what now? You broke out again.
Damn! What about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't now. You got to get to like one spot in the house and stay there. But I understand the cat's following you.
I closed the door in there. I'm in the damn room now. Anyway, can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, you're great now. That's good. That's good.
All right, fucking good, because I'm gonna stay like this. Anyways, the reason why the Mass Effect shit, he was like, we're gonna do this because we're trying to save on time, which also brings me to a very important game design. Everything's on the budget, everything's on time.
Yeah.
If we start working on games and take maybe like 5 years a project, it could be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff it gives you love. You want to do what I say?
Well, like even with EA, a major publisher, that's why they want Madden out every year, guaranteed money. People who do MLB, that 2K I think does MLB. Again, it comes out yearly. You know, so they want that yearly income coming in.
Look, so what? I know. Hello.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Anyway, you know the reason why I'm glad Infinite Warfare is coming out now.
Yeah.
Despite how I feel about this fucking game, I mean, look at Advanced Warfare. We was already going to exoskeletons.
Yeah.
Goddamn Christ. Fucking Christ. Infinite Warfare was kind of where it was going to end up in space.
Yeah.
What I like about this SDF nationality, basically different nationalities who went into the war. First resources. Yeah, but like, no, it's our shit. We buy the thing. So guess what they do? They wait till the next a bunch of attack. That's kind of how Infinite works. But you know what I got a bad feeling about this game for?
What's that?
Character development. Let me tell you why I got a bad feeling. On watching anime, really good villains are not always trying to, but they have a reason. This is the way I think that Warfare kind of should have been. You know the character of Reyes becomes a captain.
Yeah, I saw something about that online the other day.
I think what they should do in the story, what they should have done, is that guy you're fighting against and the guy you're playing as were childhood friends. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think his name is Koch. Basically, space to go because his dad refinery business, while Ray basically goes to college, goes into the military. So what is that he break down the communication between the admiral were kind of like friends or whatever as growing. But then when they meet each other, so it's like game. You see the villain, see how the relationship is. Reyes, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And yeah, dialogue ends up getting his ass, getting his ass captured. And Koch is like, Reyes, from friends, we some the same thing, but it's changing. I realize anymore the earth. Why you? What that'll do? Reyes kind of come out the. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right, now you dropped out. Yeah, now you're back. Now you're back.
Anyway, the scenario here between Admiral who the SDF relationship, had a friendship, separation in the time people. As you're playing the game, you're kind of getting taught. He's kind of goading you, but you kind of find out that in the end, the direction he changed wasn't his own, but it was somebody who was really controlling the SDF. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, the person you is villain per se. Shit. Matter of fact, look at Darth Vader from Star Wars. Darth Vader was a unique. The fact that he wasn't all. Remember in episode 3, he told. Can you hear me all right as I'm?
Yeah, you just dropped out. You just dropped out. But yeah, I can hear you now. I was just about to say you dropped out.
So, anyways, you look at the relationship Vader and Palpatine in Star Wars, Vader wasn't a big fan of Palpatine.
Yeah.
He was, but at the same time, Palpatine saw play because now here's what I think was where you see two good with each other. The reason why is because Darth Vader isn't your typical villain. Yeah, he mad the fuck out the inside. Just the whole time. Anyway. But then when he learned to
Yeah, now you just fell out.
what the fuck?
It could be over here on this end, but I tell you what, it's 5 o'clock here. I was actually gonna run and go grab some vittles at 5, but I wanted you to. I do appreciate you coming on short notice for one thing, and really helping me understand about that whole DF Digital Foundry article and looking at the damage control, people bleeding. Probably this evening is going to be that's going to be pretty damn funny. But if you want to, I was going to wrap it up here, but now we'll continue. Yeah, the Star Wars talk. Yeah, I'm all about that. So yeah, but I can go ahead and wrap it up here. But go ahead and give yourself a quick shout out here, then I'll go ahead and end the broadcast.
Okay, about 33. I only got about maybe 4 hours on my channel. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, this is Jay D33. I got about 5-6 subscribers on my channel. If y'all want to join, it's only 2 videos. But when I get my months to get you popping, we'll be getting some. Also, too, I want the Virgin Road. I have a show on the channel. I get to hear y'all damn fun looking at talking shit about stuff on camera. So yeah, man, this pretty much wraps up the podcast. And subscribe to my man Craig Harris. He's a cool ass. He's knowledgeable. He's got the same type of head I do. And hopefully technology. Tired everybody. Fuck us later.
All right, man. Peace out. Yeah, Craig Harris again. Thank you to Jay D33 coming on short notice. I mean, you got to understand. I saw this article. I got to dial up somebody that understands this and help break it down in layman's terms. So this helped me out. Hopefully, it helps you guys out. And again, like he said, don't believe the hype. Do your own research and get everything cracking for yourself. And we'll be here with you guys the whole time, laughing and loving it and making other people bleed because they're fanboys. But you all take it easy now. Peace out.
And a pause.